Got a California traffic ticket? Well, watch this before you pay it. So before you jump online and pay it, give me just a few minutes because a lot of people make the same mistake. They treat the ticket like it's a bill. It's not a bill. It's a piece of paper that can cost you money, yes, but also points, insurance increases, and problems that follow you a lot longer than the fine itself. So before you make a fast decision, let's slow it down and look at it the right way. Now, this is what not to do at the stop. If you're watching this before the ticket's written, this part really does matter. If you're watching it after, well, it is what it is. So let's accept it and move on. So at the stop, most people talk too much. They become incredibly chatty. They start explaining, they start apologizing, they start guessing. Yeah, I was probably going a little fast. I know, I kind of rolled it. Or maybe I didn't see it. My bad. Well, that may feel polite at the moment, but that's a lot of times, that's exactly how people make their own situation worse. Now, at the side of the road is not the place to argue your case, and it's definitely not the place to confess your case either. You can be respectful without giving away your options. Keep it short. Keep it professional. Yes, officer, I understand. I'll take care of it. That's it. And there's nothing else you need to say. You don't need to estimate your speed. You don't need to argue with their version. You don't need to explain your life story on the shoulder of the road. Your job is to stop at simple. Stay calm, stay safe, don't make it worse. And the real decisions happen after you get home. Now, at the time that you're pulled over, right when you get stopped, it might not be a bad idea to switch on your phone camera. That way, you're going to be a little bit more conscious of the things that come out of your mouth. That's one of the tips I give everybody that buys my course pre-citation. I tell them you want to film it. Now, of course, if the filming becomes in the officer's mind something dangerous or posing some kind of a threat, which I've seen videos on that junk before, you might want to also make the case. But to have audio rolling at the time probably isn't going to be a problem. But again, I'm talking about California, other states with cousin cooters and judges and these sorts of things, everybody related. Well, maybe that's going to be an issue. Just be careful in what you do. But you should have the right to keep the record clean, at least have your own version, your own recording, because the officer definitely has theirs. Now, my job is simple on this. We're going to move into working on the citation itself. And again, something to consider. So here it is. What exactly are they saying you did when you look at the citation? How did they say they measured it? What's on paper about you? Now, a lot of times when people get pulled over, the officer is going to say, you did the judge, the officer, the deputy, the highway patrol person, whoever, trooper, whatever it is. When they pull you over, they're going to tell you what you did. But later on, when you're looking at the citation, maybe there's other things on the citation. You want to go back to that recording you made and you want to see if that was explained because you might be forgetting. That comes up occasionally. But if they have multiple violations, different sections on the citation, and they didn't tell you that they were citing you for those things, maybe that could be something that shows some kind of a prejudice or might have you be able to raise in court that there's some kind of an issue with their demeanor or the way that they went through the citation presentation. Now, when they measured it, what was on the paper? How did they measure it? If it's a red light violation, speeding, did they use some device or are they estimating something? This is important because later on, there's going to have to be some kind of verification as to them having some kind of expertise, some kind of certification for calibration, depending on how they measured you. And then, of course, how much do the money and record actually matter to you? So that's it. If you understand those three, you're going to stop guessing. When you stop guessing, you'll make better decisions. Now, what exactly are they saying that you did? First, you want to look at the code section. Don't just call it a speeding ticket or it's just a red light ticket. Look at the actual California Vehicle Code number. So for example, there's big sections and then smaller sections. Typically on the citation, it's going to have the main section, then maybe a subcategory designated by a letter. 22350A, for example, for the basic speed law, 22349 VC for exceeding the state maximum, 21453A, that's a red light violation. If it's a red arrow or something else, there's other subsystems or subsets that go in there, and whatever it is you happen to have on your citation. Then why does this matter? Well, because the code section tells you what they're actually alleging, what has to be proven, and how that kind of case is usually handled. Those numbers are not just labels, they matter. Step one is knowing in plain English what you're being accused of. So here we're going to get into how they measured it. And I mentioned this just a second ago. This is huge, huge. Was it radar? Was it LiDAR? Was it pacing? Was it laser, or some kind of a visual estimation, some kind of a bumper pace, they might call it, because each one has its own strengths, but each one has its own weak spots too, the chink in the armor, if you will. And each one usually comes with a certain kind of testimony and report language. Now, one more layer. What did you say at the stop? And this is that going back and trying to remember. If you have your phone rolling and recording, then you can go back and review your own testimony, your own demeanor in the officer statements during the stop, which is incredibly valuable. Tell a friend that whole thing. That should be part of the general procedure whenever anybody gets stopped by the police. It just makes everybody act on their best behavior for the most part. Now, what did you say at the stop? If you admitted to something, if you explained that you're in a hurry, you agreed with the speed, if you said, well, yeah, I know, officer, I've just had a hard day, it's been a hard week, blah, blah, blah. Be careful with that. Assume all of that becomes part of the story. So when I look at a ticket, I'm looking at two things together, the instrument and the story. What tool did they use? And what story are the notes going to tell about what happened? That matters more than most people realize. Now, what are the real stakes for you? Third, this is what we're going to talk about. This is where people get lazy. They look at the fine, they think that's the whole problem. It's not. You need to ask, is this your ticket in years, or are you stacking risk? Is this the only one you've had? Do you drive for work? That's a big issue if you have a commercial endorsement, or you need your vehicle to get to work. Does a point matter for your license, your job, your insurance? Are you already close to a problem and this one just pushes you over that next stage? Now, the court fine is one cost, but the bigger cost can be the insurance increases, points on your record, future consequences, and if you get hit again. And if your insurance company is telling you they're not going to raise your rates if you get a citation, yeah, make sure they put that in writing and there's some way for you to verify that later on, because dollars to donuts, I've seen that happen more than once. So before you decide what to do, let's be honest about the stakes. Now, for some people, it's a nuisance. For others, this is a real problem. Those are not the same case. Once you look at that code section on your citation, the measurement method and the stakes, you're usually in one of three paths. Truly don't care. You don't care about the money, the point, or the insurance, and you just want it gone. And then, yes, paying it might be the best choice. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you to make that decision on purpose. Don't sleepwalk into it. You do have a little bit of time. If you're going to pay it, at least know what you're saying yes to. Now, number two, here's the second path. You're busy. If you care about the cost on the record, but you can't sit in court all day, this is where that word, my trial by declaration, might start to make a little bit more sense. That's the California TR 205 process. It tells a lot of people to contest a citation on paper first. But here's the mistake people make. They treat it like a copy and paste contest. They grab some random template online, paste it into the form, cross their fingers and hope, or they're using one of the large language models, ChatGPT or these others, to try to come up with the story. That's not strategy. That's a problem. That's going to ignore how speed is actually measured, how officers write their observation, and how your declaration reads next to the officer's declaration. So if you're going to use the TR 205, make sure you do it with structure, not the internet roulette. Precision matters, organization matters, and of course, timing matters as well. So number three, that third path, your situation being serious. If your license affects your livelihood, if you're a commercial driver and you already have points, and if this ticket can trigger bigger consequences, you're not in the casual category. That's not the time to wing it. That's the time, not also the time to gamble on a forum comment. This is time to take a harder look at the case and get structured help, whether that means a deeper review or getting an attorney who actually works in this space. When the stakes are serious, the response needs to be serious. So in my course, 97 bucks, Ticket Whisperer, you can go there, theticketwhisperer.com. That's why I built it. It's not a magic wand. It's not a promise that every ticket's going to disappear. It's not individual legal advice, but it's a California focused system that helps you stop guessing. At least some of the tips I gave you in today's video and other videos that I've done talking about traffic stops, hopefully those help guide you through the process. But inside the course itself, how you can handle the stop without making things worse, how speed and red light enforcement actually work, what facts to capture after the stop, how a trial by written declaration fits into a real plan, and how to choose your best path based on your own situation. So instead of reacting emotionally, you're operating from structure. And of course, that's the point. You don't need hype, you need a process. So before you click pay and pay your citation, at least go to theticketwhisperer.com and get an idea of your options. Now you get the full system. The video is educational. It's not individualized legal advice. I'm not promising any outcome in your case, but California laws and court procedures can change. Every case is different. But before you start, always start with this framework: what they say you did, how they measured it, and what's in the notes, and how much money and the record actually matter to you. Now, you're already ahead of most drivers. If this helped you, I would love it if you would subscribe and drop me some interesting things in the notes section. Also, if you got a ticket, your vehicle code, I'll answer everybody, and maybe we can get this worked out for you before you even have to appear in court. All right, I'm Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.